Yes, Jessie Norman, everyone. We're the therapy in South Hertfordshire.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you, Harry. And what a fantastic day this has been, and what an absolute delight it is to have a chance to kind of wind things up a little bit. And of course, I wouldn't be winding things up if I didn't start with some thanks. And I want to thank everyone who's been involved. Speakers have been fantastic, really learned a lot from them. You audience, dare I say it, haven't been too bad either. Thank you very much indeed to you guys. And most of all, Lahari, what a goddess. It would be invidious to mention any other member of the NLIVE team, because I might forget someone, and it's been a team effort, as with everything we do, but you've been absolutely brilliant, and thank you for making this such a fantastic day. So congratulations. It's also particularly exciting to me to get another audience into this amazing building, an incredible resource for the county, and to have people who get a chance to sense not just the kind of energy and the dynamism and the ideas that are coming through this building, but what this represents in terms of the values that we as a county can look forward to. You know, something about the future, something about sustainability, something about getting everyone together into a room, something about a kind of ease with the postmodern world, and something about learning and energy and personal capability. I'm going to touch on all of those things briefly, if I may. I was going to call out the students for their phenomenal achievements, but since they left in a phalanx at the end of James Newby's and Nick Butler's talk, I've understood that they've fallen squarely on the utility side of the scholarship utility equation, and I respect that. But it does mean I can't mention them, and I can't pick up their individual projects and their characteristics, because those are phenomenal in their own right and absolutely worth your investigation. Let me just, if I may, give you a little provocation, because at the end of the day, I want you to have a little bit of yeast, a little bit of paprika on the dish to give it a bit of savor. And I hope you'll allow me to engage you a bit. Now, you will know, if you know me, that I am an incredible bore on the history of Hereford. Hereford had a tradition in the sciences and the exact sciences, in particular the use of the abacus, the use of the astrolabe, computational tables for astronomy in the 12th century, around the cathedral. That is before Oxford University got going. So I'll be clear about that, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the 1190s. And Oxford doesn't really get going until just about that time, and doesn't really become a university. You can do it in different ways until the early 13th century. Colleges come along later as well. Now, as a story I've never ceased to tell, 1209, there's a big dust up in Oxford. A bunch of scholars worried that they're going to get killed because someone's died, and they all decide to up sticks. And they go 90 miles east and set up what becomes the University of Cambridge. Now, they could have gone 90 miles west and set up a university in Hereford, but tragically they didn't, and that is the gap that we are destined to fulfill. But at that time, and ever since, there has been an equivocation in the idea of a university. And it was touched on brilliantly earlier by a young gentleman in the front, Frank Myers, when he picked up this point about the dialectic between utility and scholarship, between, as it were, turning out people who can deal with the world and make something of themselves and of it, and people, as it were, nurtured to a life of leisure in the ivory tower. That is a dialectic that goes back to ancient times, to Plato and Socrates against the sophists, the people who came in to give education and skills, dare I say, to the sons of the wealthy. And that dialectic plays itself out throughout the Middle Ages and indeed into our modern conception of a research university. And I want to put it to you that it has in some respects been magnificent, but also in some respects disastrous. And let me just give you some ways in which it's been disastrous. First of all, we have a university sector that's vastly overextended and financially unsustainable in many parts of it because of its reliance on foreign students and the way in which the sector has developed. The second is because having gigantic universities, Bristol University, when I was growing up, was a university of 6,000 to 7,000 students. It now has 27,000 students. in Bristol. A friend of mine, a daughter got into Bristol, they said, great news, your first year you'll be accommodated on our Newport campus. Okay, so you have gigantism in higher education. You have a situation in which those universities, because they have grown so much, have had to have not just national but international catchments. And they therefore have had the unexpected effect of sucking talent out of parts of the country that do not have a large city or a historic foundation in them. Now, Worcester was one of those places until it set up a university. And we can look around the country using the census statistics at places that are net generators of degrees, when you include the locals who have them, the locals who move them, and the locals who have them and move out. And we are, contrary to the Blairite ideal of a 50% of the population going to university, we are at 18% in Herefordshire, 18% in Herefordshire. Now, does that mean Herefordians are, as it were, 30% as talented as the kids who go to university elsewhere in the country, or, as it were, 20% as talented as or 25% as talented as the kids who go to university in the southeast? The answer is absolutely not, under no circumstances. So what we're doing is something that's actually, if I may dare to say it, profoundly important. We are putting together the ethos, the energy, the drive, the focus, the cost structure, the care for the student experience of further education with the academic standards and expectations of higher ed, and the desire to create a liberal sciences capable human being. The jointure of those two traditions I mentioned of utility and the ivory tower, we are pulling them together into a single educational experience. And of course, it's not just an educational experience, it's a practical experience, because we make you do things if you're a student here. And we also make you do with clients and people with ideas, and we deconstruct the problem set, so you have to do that progressively. You can only work in teams or you get individually assessed. So all of those things give us the opportunity to create a small modular reactor, a small model of an outstanding teaching university of a kind that has existed and does exist in other countries, but has really never been seen in this country in the modern experience of the higher education sector. So that's what we're doing. And in particular, we're focusing on, although you wouldn't know the way some of the microphones have been playing up, we're focusing on capability. Capability, in my view, is not just the ability to do stuff, it's the ability and the disposition. It's getting out there and saying, yes, I can change the world, and by the way, I can make this difference, and that's what I'm going to do. And if when you go out, you talk to some of our students, those MEng or BN students, and you talk about what their projects are, well, let me just tell you. So one of our elements is thinking about the build-up of plaques in the cardiovascular, in our arterial systems, as a problem in fluid dynamics, using computational fluid dynamics to think about that. Now, that's not unhelpful if you're in the petrochemical industry. Nick's left us, but many of his colleagues at BP would be thrilled to have someone who thought that deeply about those issues: turbulence, swirl, backfeeding of current, all that stuff. So that's one example. Another one is training data for AI models in autonomous vehicles. Another one is trying to create an integrated sense perception for agricultural vehicles. I mean, it's an astounding array. These are kids who 3 years ago weren't even in higher education at all. So just want to focus on why this is important. And I'm thrilled that we've got people from Innovate UK here. Thank you so much for coming. But this is the goal. This is what we're trying to do. We want these guys, I say guys, men, women, and all, to come out, to make a difference to the world, and to be queuing up for money from you guys, and for venture capital money, and for all of that energizing capital that they will need to translate their ideas and their personal drive, their entrepreneurial energy into real outcomes. A sentence more or two. If you take a helicopter view of where we are as a world, we have had a period of what people have called market states, and a certain illusion of free trade, quite large at the beginning of the 20th century, reducing quite rapidly towards the end of the 20th century. We've had the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade with the World Trade Organization. We've had the idea of trade as being a kind of a game in which both sides win. We now are entering a world of the Inflation Reduction Act, enormous amounts of domestic spending. We've heard about the Chinese on electric vehicles, tariffs, import controls. We're moving towards a world in which we are much more a fortress state, or what I call a secure state, than a market state. And that's because we have challenges of food security, energy security, pandemic resilience, defense security in a way that we had never anticipated post-1989 when the wall came down. What does that, those are forces for self-sufficiency, they're forces that in a world in which AI means that nothing is real, anything can be mimicked, which is where we're going to be in a couple of years' time, there are forces for the local, for being able to put your arm around someone, look them in the eye, and have a contact with them, because if they're on Zoom, you couldn't be sure you were talking to them. Yeah. Okay. Local self-sufficiency capability, that is the recipe for the success of this institution, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you may be asking, in fact, I can almost I'm swept over by the inquiry coming from each of you, which is, how can I personally, having sat through this day, make a difference? And the answer is, just get out there and tell everyone. Because we've got a city out there, we'll be taking 70 or 80 students, and in a very short period of time, we will be turning away students, because our guys are getting such good jobs so quickly on the basis of such quality of work. There's absolutely no reason why this story should be confined to us. We should be telling everyone we know, we should be encouraging people in Herefordshire to line up to allow the next generation, their children and grandchildren, to sense the joy, the purpose, and above all, the educational and the career rewards of taking this local, inexpensive, and very high quality route. And I hope you will do that. I hope you will get up, ladies and gentlemen, come out here and become massive evangelists and apostles for the revolution that we're trying to spread. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Jesse. It's always very difficult to follow your act anytime. But I'm here to wrap up, so if I mess it up, we'll go home anyways. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. We have the privilege of, I have the privilege, I must say, of announcing our raffle winner. And I thought you'd be excited. Somebody's won. And he is, I hope he's still here, he's Bob Lane.
All
right, okay.
There we go.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Cheers. So, I've never won one in my life, so one day it will get to me as well. And if you're like me, keep hoping. So we want to say thank you again to everyone who's made this event possible. We can't thank Lahari enough for leading the team here in Emite, and obviously colleagues, and every one of our speakers. Can we just give them one round of applause to appreciate them? Whilst we've appreciated them, it would be good to remember everything that they've passed across. So many diverse kinds of messages here today, just talking about this very important agenda. So let's keep talking about those things. We've exchanged cards, we've known people. Let's keep the conversations going, and let's keep talking about Enmite. Whatever you do, remember this institution is here to serve you, and what we want to do is to make sure that we're making that impact in this space. So we want to say thank you to everyone as well, every guest that has come. It takes a lot of effort to turn up at events like this because of the so many things that compete for our time in this day and age. So whilst we've done that for the speakers, let's do the same for all our guests that have come from different places. Thank you very much for coming. And we want to say, please look out, keep looking out for future announcements that you've heard. The Innovate UK and a few other events will be coming up like this. Some will be more focused around your type of business and interests, and some will be general like this as well. But whatever it is, please feel free to keep engaging. And yes, we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a blessed day.